Here is something that does not make sense. Right now, in 2026, the average American worker is technically earning more money than ever before. Wages are up. The economy is growing. Every headline says the job market is strong. And yet, nearly 1 in 3 low-income households in America is spending over 95% of their paycheck just to survive, just to exist, not to save, not to invest, just to make it to next Friday. You have been working hard, you already know that. But if you are still stuck under $2,000 a month, working harder is not the answer. Because the problem is not your effort. The problem is a trap, a specific, invisible, mathematically designed trap. And here is the darkest part. Most of the people inside it do not even know it has a name. Stay with me, because by the time this is over, you will. Let me describe your week to you. Monday. You wake up and check your balance before you even get out of bed. Not because you want to, because you have to. Because if that payment cleared last night and you did not know about it, the whole week falls apart. You go to work. You do your job well. Maybe better than most people around you. And on Friday, the paycheck comes in. For about 4 hours, you feel okay. Maybe even good. Then rent takes its share. Then the car payment. Then the electricity bill that was higher than last month. Because everything is higher than last month. Then groceries, and you know exactly which items you put back on the shelf, because the total was getting too high. By Sunday night, you are back where you started, under $2,000, maybe under $500, and the exhausting, demoralizing, completely invisible truth is this: you did everything right this week, you showed up, you worked, you were responsible, and the number still did not move. 62% of working Americans say their income has not kept up with their household expenses, and among those who do not expect things to improve in 2026, the number one reason they give is not laziness, it is not bad choices, it is inflation, eating their paycheck faster than they can earn it. But here is what nobody tells you. Inflation is only one layer of the trap. There are 4 layers total, and they are all working against you, simultaneously. This is called the $2,000 ceiling, and it is not an accident. Here is what we are going to cover. Layer 1, the invisible drain. The system that quietly charges you more for being poor than for being rich. Layer 2, the dopamine debt. Why your brain is working against your bank account, and it is not your fault. Layer 3, the time ceiling. The mathematical reason working harder can never work. Layer 4, the compound wall. Why the longer you stay under $2,000, the harder it becomes to leave, and stay to the very end, because layer 4 is the one that changes everything. It is also the one with the way out. I want you to meet 2 people, call them Daniel and Marcus. Daniel earns $4,500 a month. Marcus earns $1,800 a month. They live in the same city. They buy the same basic things: food, soap, paper towels, phone service, electricity. Here is the thing nobody tells you. Marcus pays more. For all of it. Not a little more. Significantly more. Daniel buys the 48 roll pack of toilet paper because he can afford the upfront cost. His price per roll works out to 12 cents. Marcus buys the 4 roll pack every week because that is all he can afford at once. His price per roll works out to 28 cents. Same product. Marcus pays more than twice as much, per sheet. Daniel has good credit, so his car insurance premium is $94 a month. Marcus had one late payment 2 years ago when his hours got cut. His insurance is $167 a month. Same car, same driving record. Marcus pays $876 more per year, just for having less money. Daniel's dentist caught a cavity early, because Daniel goes every 6 months, cost $200. Marcus skipped appointments for 2 years because he could not afford the copay. The cavity became an infection. The infection became a root canal. Cost $2,400. This is not bad luck. This is not poor decision making. This is a system that is economically rigged against people with less capital. It has a name. Economists call it the poverty premium. And for the lowest earning workers in America, real wages actually declined in 2025. Meaning the poverty premium is getting worse, not better. even as headlines celebrate economic recovery. But here is what nobody tells you about the poverty premium. It does not just drain your money, it drains your brain. There was a study out of Harvard, a real peer-reviewed, published study, that measured what financial stress does to cognitive function. The finding was brutal. When your mind is consumed by financial worry, when you are calculating whether you can afford to eat out on Friday, or whether that would mean skipping your car payment, your effective IQ drops by 13 points. 13. That is the same cognitive loss as going 24 hours without sleep. In 2026, 76% of Americans report having little to no financial safety net. That means the majority of working adults are operating with a cognitively impaired brain every single day. Not because they are not smart, because the financial pressure never stops, and a brain under constant stress cannot plan. It can only react, which brings us to the second layer. I need to talk to you about something that nobody in personal finance ever wants to say out loud. That $60 pair of shoes you bought last month when you knew you probably should not have. That meal out, that small thing you ordered online at midnight. People will tell you that was irresponsible, that was a bad decision, that was why you are still broke. They are wrong. Here is what was actually happening. Your cortisol, that is the stress hormone, had been elevated for weeks, maybe months. You have been in survival mode, which means your nervous system has been running at high alert. And when you walked into that store or opened that app and bought that thing, your brain released a hit of dopamine. The stress chemicals dropped for 20 minutes. You felt okay. That was not a spending problem. That was self-medication. Now here is where it gets darker. The relief lasts 20 minutes. The debt lasts 20 months. And every time you medicate with a purchase, you make the underlying financial stress worse, which means the next dopamine hit needs to be bigger to achieve the same relief. This is the dopamine debt loop. It is the same neurological mechanism as addiction, and the system absolutely knows this. Every store layout, every one-click purchase button, every treat yourself advertisement in 2026 is engineered specifically for people whose stress levels make them vulnerable to this exact cycle. Think about Marcus again. He knows intellectually that buying those shoes was not a financially optimal decision. But Marcus's brain was not in a state to make financially optimal decisions. His brain was in survival mode, and survival mode does not think in months, it thinks in minutes. But here is what nobody tells you about the dopamine debt. Breaking it does not require willpower. It requires removing the trigger. And the trigger is not weakness, the trigger is the stress, which means the path out of layer 2 is not discipline, it is buffer. We will get to that. But first, layer 3. And this one is going to make you angry. Here is the most brutal math in this entire video. You have 24 hours in a day. You need roughly 7 of those to sleep. That leaves 17. Let us say you spend 10 of those working, maybe at 2 jobs, maybe with overtime, maybe driving for a delivery app on weekends. You are now selling 10 hours a day. And there is your ceiling, 10 hours. That is all you have. No matter how hard you push, no matter how much you sacrifice, you cannot sell more than 24 hours. You are mathematically capped. Now here is the part that makes this a trap, rather than just a limitation. Inflation-adjusted wages have been roughly flat since 2020's for most American workers, which means the value of each hour you sell is not growing. You are running on a treadmill. The treadmill is set to the same speed as inflation. You can sprint as hard as you want, you will not move forward. This is the time ceiling. It is the invisible mathematical wall that explains why working a second job does not fix the problem. It only delays the exhaustion. Think about Daniel and Marcus one more time. Daniel got a $500 raise this year. That's not because he worked harder, because he owns stock in the company he works for, a benefit he negotiated 2 years ago. While he was sleeping last Tuesday, that stock paid him $340. He did nothing. The money arrived. Marcus worked 12 extra hours of overtime last month. After taxes, he took home $180. Daniel made nearly twice as much while sleeping as Marcus made breaking his body for 12 hours. That is not a moral failing on Marcus's part. That is the difference between selling time and owning an asset. That is the time ceiling in action. But here is what nobody tells you about the time ceiling. It is not permanent, it is not a life sentence, it is a design flaw, and design flaws can be worked around. The workaround is not working more hours, it is changing what you are selling. We will show you how. But first, the final layer, the one that makes all the others worse. This is the layer that the headlines never talk about, because it's not dramatic. It does not feel like an emergency. It is quiet and slow, and absolutely devastating. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He said those who understand it, earn it, and those who do not, pay it. Most people in the $2,000 trap are paying it, every single day. Here is how it works. If you carry a $3,000 balance on a credit card at 24% interest, which is the current average rate in 2026, you pay $720 a year in interest alone. You are not buying anything with that $720. You are not eating better, or living better, or driving a nicer car. You are paying $720 for the privilege of having borrowed money in the past. And if you only make minimum payments, that debt does not shrink, it grows. Meanwhile, someone with $10,000 in a basic index fund at a 10% annual return made $1,000 this year while doing absolutely nothing. They woke up $1,000 richer. You woke up $720 poorer. The gap between you is not your talent, it is not your work ethic, it is the direction the compound interest is flowing. This is the compound wall. And here is the darkest part, the part that pays off. What I told you at the very beginning of this video. The trap is not random, it is not bad luck, it is designed this way. The credit card companies know that people under financial stress make minimum payments. The payday loan industry specifically targets people in survival mode, because survival mode cannot say no to immediate relief. Even at 400% annual interest, the system is not broken, it is working, exactly as intended. It charges people with less money, more money for everything, keeps them in debt with compounding interest, caps their income with a time ceiling, and then medicates their pain with dopamine loops that create more debt. This is not a conspiracy, it is just capitalism, optimized for extraction rather than elevation. And the reason most people never escape is not that they are not trying hard enough, it is that they do not know the trap has 4 layers. They fix one, and the other 3 keep pulling them back. Now you know, which means now you can do something about it. I'm not going to tell you this is easy, I respect you too much for that. Everything I just described, the poverty premium, the dopamine debt, the time ceiling, the compound wall, these are real forces. They are powerful. And the person trying to break out of them is doing it while exhausted, while stressed, while the same system that built the trap keeps pulling them back in. So here is the truth. You cannot fix all 4 layers this week, but you can break the first chain. And breaking the first chain is the only thing that matters right now. Here is your one action. This week, not next month, not when things get better. This week, open a completely separate savings account, not your main bank, a different one, a high yield savings account. There are free ones that currently pay around 4.5% interest. I'm going to transfer exactly $27 into it today. Not because $27 is life-changing, because $27 is the beginning of a buffer. That buffer is what starts to silence the survival alarm in your brain. When the car breaks down and you have $200 in that account instead of 0, the repair is an inconvenience, not a catastrophe, not a payday loan, not 3 months of compounding debt, an inconvenience. When you have a buffer, the dopamine debt loses its grip because the stress that drives compulsive spending starts to drop. When the stress drops, the cognitive bandwidth comes back. When the bandwidth comes back, you can start to see the time ceiling clearly enough to build a way around it. $27 is not the destination, it is the first crack in the wall. Here is the before and after. Without that account, every emergency sends you backwards. A $300 car repair becomes a $900 payday loan by the time the interest clears. A missed shift becomes a late rent payment. That becomes a credit score drop. That makes your car insurance go up. One thing leads to the next, and the next. This is the trap, feeding itself. With that account, the car repair is just a car repair. You handle it, you move on. The compound interest slowly starts to turn in your direction, instead of against you. $27 this week, that is it. That is the whole first step. Remember, Marcus, From the beginning of this video, 2 years from now, there are two versions of him. In the first version, Marcus found this video, nodded along, felt understood for a few minutes, and then went back to the same week, same balance, same ceiling, same trap. The only difference is that now he knows its name, and knowing the name of a cage does not open the door. In the second version, Marcus opened that account, $27, then $40, then $100. The trap did not disappear overnight, but one layer came down, then another, and the week started to feel, for the first time, like it was going somewhere. The door to the ceiling is not locked from the outside, it never was. Here is the only question that actually matters. Which version of Marcus are you going to be? By this time next year, do not answer that out loud. Answer it with what you do in the next 24 hours. Here is your weekly challenge. This week, open one high-yield savings account, Marcus, Ali or SoFi, all free, all currently paying over 4% interest. Transfer $27 into it today, not tomorrow, today. Then come back to this comment section and type the word done. That is it. That is the whole challenge. And right now, scroll to the comments and reply with one word that describes your current financial situation. One word. Whatever is honest. This comment section is a community of people who are done pretending everything is fine. If this video hits something real for you, the next video is going to hit harder. We are going to expose the exact reason your raises never feel like raises. Subscribe so you do not miss it.